All right, here we are. We're back again to discuss all the problems of the world, even though at the moment I have to say that most Democrats feel a lot happier than they felt not too long ago, actually. It's been really, really rapid.
Can you believe how fast it changed?
Yeah, it's remarkable. And, the thing that I find most interesting, I don't know if you've come across this, he's a Republican pollster. His name is Luntz. And he's been around since I remember I used to see him in the Bush years, way back when.
Oh, I think I just did a show yesterday with Nancy in the garden. Nancy, who's also happens to be the mother of our good friend
Sean Briscoe, yeah.
John, and she was just talking about him.
Yeah, so this Luntz guy, he is definitely pro-Republican, but he's also a numbers person and he's reasonably honest, unlike most of these Republicans. And I just saw him say, I've never seen anything like this in my entire life. The last 30 days of the flip in the polls and what he's sensing as what feels like Obama in '08, this movement thing that's developed with all the people, for instance, that are volunteering. I mean, hundreds of thousands of
Oh,
people
I know
are
they can't.
volunteering.
They're turning him away. There's so many.
Yeah, and that's the thing, that's never good news for the guy who says he has the movement. I think the kind of movement he has is a different kind of movement at this stage.
Something that requires his deities.
Yeah, something that requires the depends, I know. Anyways, so yeah, so that's been a huge shift. And I mean, by the way, in tune pretty precisely with her chart, because remember we used to say last year, just wait because Kamala's chart in the election cycle is really
Always
strong.
that.
Right.
You turn and say, this is interesting, but Kamala looks good. So Biden must win because Kamala looks so good.
Correct. And I mean, the thing that didn't work there is that Biden couldn't make it. But Biden, the curious thing is, he could have a year ago or whenever he could have said, okay, I'm going to
Oh,
pass the
yeah.
torch, like he said he was going to, because he had said I'm a bridge candidate, but then he changed his mind, right?
Right.
But I think the fact that Biden resisted is better for Kamala. So this has turned out, yeah, because think about it. If Kamala is the nominee a year and a half ago, there's way, way more time to attack her, to cause problems for her. The fact that she comes in and really quickly,
Bada boom.
it makes it a lot more difficult. It also has put Trump in a really bad bind because Trump ultimately is not a smart man. He's just guys like a one-trick pony. This switch has him all disturbed. He doesn't know what to do,
Yeah.
because it'd be hard for anybody, but especially for him. So it's worked out really, really well. The only thing I can think of though is that I said this in one of my recent videos. Be careful because now we're in this territory before the convention and into next week. There are pressures on her chart, and I think this is what correlates with she's come out with this economic plan thing, and that will open you to more attacks because she's talking about, sounds a little bit like price controls. Then they can say to you, oh,
Yeah.
this is too much.
But
Like,
they're doing good stuff like help with first-time home buyers and
oh
bring
yeah, no, for sure, for sure. No, so she's definitely, the key thing is the momentum. The momentum is on her side, and the momentum is, well, it's pretty obvious. I mean, this guy is doing these press conferences, and he starts out by saying, Kamala is destroying the world. Well, once you say that, what else is there to say, right? Kamala has destroyed
Oh,
the world.
also he said, oh no, they want everybody to have health care.
Yeah, right.
Like that's
Exactly.
a
Yeah,
bad thing.
yeah. That's like how they attack Tim Walz, by making him really scary. And because why? Because he feeds kids lunch. Because he feeds them.
And he gives them, they call him tampon, Tim.
I don't know.
Like that's, like he made sure children have, the young girls have the ability to have something to help them when they start. Because when you're in school, especially middle school, you might just start your period all of a sudden.
And it's totally true. I mean, and the thing is, they're not landing. And the problem they have now is that Kamala and Tim Walz are very good communicators. This is a really difficult thing to overcome. They were counting on the fact that Biden hasn't lost his mojo. He's lost his communication ability.
Yes.
Makes it a lot harder, And I think I've mentioned this more than once, where if you want to see where Biden was, just compare when he made a speech in 2016. Go on Google, on YouTube, and type Biden Democratic Convention 2016. Listen to him talk then and compare it to the way he talks now. And the problem with politics is very, very visual. If you give off the impression that, you're not 100% there, you're open to attack. It's not
And
a good
that
thing.
debate he did, even though the next day he did so good, it really was a disaster.
Yeah, it wasn't. It left, and the main thing is, this is what ended up happening, is it left an impression that wasn't good, but it really was in the numbers because, okay, I mean, don't you find it kind of unusual, if you want to think that's what it is, but why have the polls turned around so massively in a month,
I think people are just glad they have another choice.
Yeah, well, yeah, and by the way, this is another thing. I remember thinking this before this happened, even before Biden got in trouble. I remember thinking, wow, this thing went to Kamala. I mean, that would be the biggest insult to the MAGA movement because Kamala is the very thing they don't want. That's the thing that they definitely cannot accept.
I couldn't believe, and Trump was saying, "Oh, he's going to claim his seat come the convention." No, he isn't.
No, this is the thing that what Trump doesn't understand is that the power of the Democratic Party is, in the end, you can criticize them all you like, they're a team. So it's a team decision. So Biden there was, the party ran over him because the party thought, no, there's a better candidate in this situation. And I know that upsets some people. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, Pelosi, what? Are you going to be mad at Pelosi for the fact that it turned out the way she thought? What about Biden? Is Biden going to say...
She wasn't for Kamala. She wasn't for her.
She was for not...
It to be an open thing. They wanted somebody else. I've heard this. I can't tell you if it's true. That Pelosi actually went to Biden and asked him to pick a different VP for the second term.
Okay, well, that I don't know, but I doubt. Let me put it to you this way. I bet you anything that Pelosi is political enough, she's savvy enough. If you ask her now, she will say, I love Kamala.
She was just on the news and she can't speak highly enough for her.
Yeah, exactly.
She did mention that when Kamala was running for DA or something, she was pro a different person, not her. She did say I did that, but boy, she looked real bad and she came through with flying colors.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the thing that, I mean, because we can do coulda, woulda, shoulda, till the cows come home. This could have been this, it could have been that. It is what it is. She's there and she's doing really, really well. Focus on that. Wow. And by the way, here's the thing too about Kamala that I didn't mention. Well, maybe I did, I can't remember. But Kamala, during the White House years when she was Biden's VP, the whole time she was under a lot of Pluto pressure. Really? You know what that planet does? Yeah, Pluto, because she has her sun moon, the Pluto is squaring, right? Right up to the point where now it's just ending, right? Pluto is a planet that when it's around, it pressurizes you and it transforms you into a higher level of power. It's what you're seeing now. Kamala seems a lot different now than she was before. She seems to be really in her, body and mind. She's basically really sure of herself. That's what that planet accomplishes.
It was almost like, oh, I'm here for the ride.
Yeah, before. I mean, but not anymore. I mean, the whole point
I'm glad he won president because she wouldn't have shown as good as she's doing now.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I think her Tim Walz, their connection is he's an Aries, he has the moon in Aries, and his Jupiter is right next to her moon. When people have Jupiter moon contacts, they're automatically friendly with one another. Even if there are other things that may eventually cause a problem in that relationship, there's always okay, yeah, I like you, no matter what, I can get along with you. So I think it's a great pick, and you've seen the guy. Can you imagine? Okay, we'll see when JD debates him. That's all I have to say. Just watch, because he's not the kind of person you want to pick on and throw insults. He knows how to punch back.
He knows how to handle a bully.
Oh, totally. And I mean, he knows how to communicate. This is not good news. And on the other side, Trump keeps saying Kamala's dumb. Okay, we're going to see. We're going to see who's dumb,
Did you take a look at September 10th about their debate?
Yeah, it's not good for Trump. This does not. September for Trump is, in fact, this is the
You've
other thing
been
about.
saying this for a while. You've been saying September was bad.
Exactly. But now the only thing I don't know, this is where people out there, I'm not sure about this, because the one thing he's managed to do through the Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court and that immunity thing is creating a lot of problems for the legal community. You know, the Marchand case, it's not clear that Marchand will sentence him. You know, what do you feel about that? What are you getting? Because
I think he's going to sentence him to jail, but I think he's going to allow him to finish running for president.
well, see, this is the thing that at that stage of the race, it's not even important that he won't be going to jail. It's just the message. Trump hates the message. If he has to hear a judge saying, you're a good for nothing, cheating, you know, liar, and we're going to, this is the punishment.
This was a jury that came through. You
Oh,
don't want
no.
juries to go and make
Totally.
decisions and judge just poo-poo at it because he's special. No, he's
Well,
not.
totally. And the thing with that is that the legal pundits that I track are not sure that Marchand would be able to sentence him till after the election. And when I looked at the charts for 16 and 18, like September 16, September 18, it's a little mixed in that it's possible that on the 16th he could say, well, I'm not going to sentence you. But then I don't know what the reason is, but that territory in there going into the following week, Trump is really worked up and upset. He's upset about something. So, I mean, the logical thing would be to say, well, he's upset because he got sentenced. Well, I don't care if he gets sentenced or not because he's going to be upset. And that's all that counts, you know?
Yeah.
You know, and he has a lot to be upset about because so many things are not working out and he's not capable of arguing it back. He talks nonsense. It's like you're watching someone do word salad, goes all over the map, goes from Hannibal Lecter to Kamala to communism to, come on. I mean, give me a break.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty extreme. I mean, I heard a person say, which is, this is like the same as, you know, the thing with Biden. Go back, for instance, go look at the debate in 2012 with Paul Ryan. Biden was a totally different person, even in 2016, right? Same is true for Trump. Go back and listen to Trump's speech 4 years or 8, like the more you go back, 4 years, 8 years, he used to talk in full sentences. Can't do that anymore. You can't do that anymore. This is very risky when you're running against the prosecutor because prosecutors are geared to hear what you're saying and to question you. Right?
And then go for the throat.
Exactly. You know, and by the way, when I add to that, Kamala's planets, Kamala's chart, are perfectly wired to attack him and to get in his face. There are definite links there. You know, it's there because that she's got this big full moon wired into his criminal planets. You know, like well the planets in the 12th house. So
He's going to expose the hell out of him.
none of that is good news, and it's sort of the logic that she is there to confront him. You know, to get in his face. It's not a soft approach at all. You know, so I'm amazed that he always thinks the solution to everything is more of me, right? I'll just go on there, I'll convince people. And because he was able to do it to Biden, which by the way, what have you heard him now? How many times he said, I wish I hadn't debated him. That's what he's saying, right?
Trump said that?
Oh yeah, more than once. More than once in his rallies, he goes, oh my God, if I hadn't debated him, he'd still be there. Because he wants Biden to be there. So now think about it, right? That whole period, oh, he's winning. Is he really winning? He arranged his own demise by doing too well in a way.
It slapped him in the face when they said Harris was running.
Oh, for sure.
Really hard. They all went back. But this is the other thing. There's a lot of chatter behind the scenes. And there's many Republicans that are thinking, oh, Jesus, this guy we just can't go with this guy.
No, and here's the other thing, right? We're in this zone where a lot of Uranus energy going into the convention and into early September. There's a ton of Uranus energy. So the possibility of shocking, unexpected things happening goes way up. We've already had several because the Biden debate was a shock. Him being almost killed was another shock. Kamala coming in was another shock. But the way I interpret this now, and of course, since if I say, well, shocking, unexpected, then whatever I say could be the opposite of this.
Right.
But my sense is that Trump is more exposed to the shock now because he's part of this Uranus thing 100%. So is JD Vance. So if I had to guess, I would expect something to do with him being a shocking thing rather than thinking it's going to be something to do with Kamala or Tim Walz. It doesn't seem right to me, especially because the convention energy is good for her. It's well aligned, that
Yeah,
full moon.
people are talking about conventions like they were the Republic. Oh, Linda, do you see horrible? I don't see horrible things happening. Might be some protests, but I'm not seeing a bomb going off or anything.
Yeah, or even the thing that it would be some huge upset related to Kamala or Tim. No, I think it's much more likely
Yeah, they
the other
love it.
way, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I know Beyonce is going to perform.
Yeah, well, by the way, that's another pattern that anytime you can go back to 2016, 2012, 20. So the Democrats always attract the real acts, the good performers, and Trump can't get anybody to perform for him because, well, Ted Nugent, Ted Nugent, and
Will be.
yeah, Ted Nugent. But
So
that's about it.
his chart is still looking pretty weak.
Well, it's not just weak; it's dangerously weak in that it's a besieged type of situation, right? So, and here's the thing too that I've been saying for years about his health, and of course people expected, well, why doesn't he just keel over already? Well, he's dropped. It's pretty clear, that Trump, compare him to 4 years ago, he is diminished. He's lost a lot of his mojo. He can't communicate properly. He goes on tangents a lot. His words slur. I don't know how he managed that thing with Elon Musk, sounding like Sylvester the cat. Now they're trying to tell us that no, it was maybe that there was something wrong with the sound. I don't know. Is that really true?
He was.
Yeah. So, and he manages to constantly step in it. I mean, I think that if you go back to 2016 especially, he was more politically attuned to what was going on. He was sharper. So now, because of his decline, so that is what health is. If your well-being declines, your health is in decline.
Right.
But who knows when the actual event,
But he
more
just
major.
does that same language that America is in the hole and in hell. If she wins, it'll be so terrible. He's always said that.
No, and I mean, look, come on. There's this photo of JD Vance on a plane, and they're doing a thing with this other guy talking about how the country's falling apart, and the Wall Street Journal is on the table, and you can see market inflation is down, the market is up. I mean, like, come on, guys, come on. This is like gaslighting, gaslighting on a major level. When that day that the market dropped, about a week ago, right away, I don't know how I ended up on this feed. I must have clicked on it at one point in the past, and it pops up on me. It's a MAGA thing, and this MAGA person was saying, "Oh, I told you. See, look, the world is falling apart."
It too. Trump announced it too.
That lasted 2 days. It was a 2-day.
And it's over 450 now.
Yeah,
40,500.
over 40,000. Yeah, no, for sure. So I mean, that's another thing. Okay, think about that. All right. So this is the other thing. People are always saying, Trump is this really lucky man. He's not lucky. Okay, think about it.
You said so.
He's not lucky. If he were lucky, he wouldn't have had COVID in his last year, because COVID is the worst thing that could happen to the guy. If he were lucky, right now the economy would be cratering. It's not, right? Everything is going against what he's trying to do. If he were lucky, there would be no woman there torturing him. That would be luck, like Biden would have stayed in the race. He's a really unlucky man when you really think about it, in terms of getting his result, because that's what luck is supposed to be. Now, if you say he's lucky in that he hasn't been thrown in the slammer yet, that's true. But I say yet, in capital letters, yet, because this guy is asking for it. Based on where that chart is. Sorry, but
I know it's not good.
He said that
I'm going to do a video later, but I had a definite hit, big time, strong hit. Number one, about Jared Kushner. I keep seeing him being taken to a jail in the orange outfit.
Really?
His hands, and it might not be till 26 or 27. I'd be curious later if you could check his chart. But I see that happening.
Well, one thing I remember, he's a Capricorn, and this is always the question, because again, we'll say Gemini this or Capricorn that, and right away people say, well, that's bad, I'm a Gemini. Okay, just to make this clear, the chart is the interfacing of your will with your cycles. So if you don't want to be thrown in jail, don't do criminal things. It's not complicated, right? Kushner and all these people, they're constantly pushing the envelope, going over the line, so then they get in trouble. So Saturn entering Aries, which it's from next year a little bit, but especially 26 and 27, that brings the Capricorn people into pressure, right? Which if they've been committing crimes, then they have to face it. So yeah, I could see that, sure. He's a slumlord, and who knows, it's entire. I mean, look, just the fact that, what a laughable thing. How many billion did he get from Saudi Arabia, that guy?
3.
Yeah, and they're always talking about how the Biden crime family, I mean, what a joke. What a joke.
Yeah, well, they sold information to them that he couldn't even get a clearance, and Trump forced them to give him a clearance. That's how crooked he was.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the other thing too, sometimes people say, how do you explain Trump? Just listen to what he says, right? A person's keywords are actually what they are. He always uses the words like fake, scam, who do you know that?
Oh, AI, she used AI. If you look at his stuff, you can see where he used AI. Always about crowd size.
Totally true. But again, see, this is the thing. You open yourself up to ridicule and to the other side counterpunching and finding ways to laugh at you and make the problem worse, right? Which is not going to convince that 35%, but you're just chipping away. You're trying to take a few people, right, to tilt the polls. And that, and by the way, this is the other thing too. People might think, we're in this period of time where the whole world has gone crazy. Why is this guy being followed this way? Okay, go back to history. Remember Nixon when he was thrown out of office, right?
Yes.
But and his own party threw him out of office back when they were more honest, right? But he left office with the same level of support that Trump has from his base. The people in his base then didn't want him to go. So the people that are your people, they don't let you go. You always have a large number of people, many millions. You can commit crime. I mean, come on, Nixon, he was not, although compared to Trump, Nixon compared to Trump was people say that he would have been considered far left in today's Republican Party. Can you imagine?
Right.
Yeah. So that's the thing, that if you ever think, well, how can there be so many millions? That's just, it's kind of par for the course. It's the way it is. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you ever taken a look at Barron?
No, I haven't. I should, but I haven't looked. Why?
There's a lot of stuff coming out about him. I don't know if it's true. It's just for a hearsay. But there was just apparently the people in the school now that he's graduated are talking about him. Apparently he told people that his mom and dad weren't even living together when he started to run for president. 2 years they hadn't lived together. And they were planning on divorcing. And then when he started to run for president, they went to the negotiation table. It's a little clear because you can tell she's just not that into him.
Well, I mean, can you imagine being around Trump? I mean, honestly.
Oh, listen, things are really getting bad for Putin now. For some reason, I was telling everybody 25 was when you were saying was the final.
Well,
are you seeing anything lately?
25, 26, because the entry in 25 is pretty brief. 26 is when you get the full rush of Saturn, Neptune. They're going to be in Aries for good. But yeah, no, that's exactly it. That you see this in astrology quite a bit as well, that particularly people that are misaligned, you start to see the situation shift ahead of the actual shift in the planets. It's the same for Netanyahu, he's kind of teetering. It's going in that direction as well. But if you look at it today, you'd say, well, come on, nothing seems to be happening. He's still in charge. He is. But like you said about Putin, when you have to defend, the Ukrainians did what I thought they should have done long ago. They went into Russia, right?
I can't believe it.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. And the Russians are just laying their guns down and saying, we'll go with you.
Because, that's the thing. It'd be like if the U.S. invaded Alabama, which maybe wouldn't be a bad idea, but okay. Sorry. I apologize, everyone.
Right.
but it's that kind of thing that you think to yourself, probably a lot of them have maybe relatives, friends, whatever. And then the other thing, he is running out of people because the war has lasted a long time. And now you get this, it's like the diagram where you see the two curves blending, where he's used up all the people. The mothers in Russia are getting more and more upset because
Oh,
their
yeah.
children are dying, and the war isn't going well. So he's maneuvering himself into a really bad situation because Ukraine has more incentive because they're surviving for their life. They want to protect their
Right,
country. So
right.
it's much easier to fight when you're fighting for your life than when you're fighting because,
And the men that are going out there are starving. They're
yeah,
not feeding them, they're not taking care of them. So
yeah.
they're just putting their guns down and hoping to get a drink and a good meal, and maybe some clean underwear. I mean, they're not asking for much. So I say we send Ukraine everything they need to take care of the Russian people, because they just walked into a town that Putin took over. I can't remember the name of it. And nobody protested.
Yeah, no, it doesn't surprise me. Yeah, I mean, it's just the thing too that his chart, even with the some victories that he's had, it's not well aligned, right? So it's sort of like Trump's victories. Oh, he had a great debate. Okay, let's see. Now you go and wait a second. He himself is telling you, wish I hadn't done that. I got
Yeah.
walked into a trap, right?
Well, they're telling him he needs to come to the table and say, okay, I'm out of Ukraine.
Yeah, no, right, exactly. And the more the U.S. helps them, and the more pressure they put on the situation, the better deal they're going to get in the end. I mean, I'm hoping that they'll get all or most of their country back because
I
I
think
don't
they,
see how is it fair that this guy gets any land in Ukraine?
yeah,
How? For what reason? You know.
yeah. But I'm glad to hear they're not having to kill that many people. They're just walking in and they're laying their guns down. I'm very happy to hear that.
Yeah, that's smart. That's what the Italians did in the Second World War when the Allies started invading from the south. The Italians surrendered and became part of the Allied. They started hunting Germans before, yeah, I mean, that's a smart move. I mean,
I think the French too.
oh, the French too. Yeah, yeah. That's how
They hate it. Yeah, they hate
it
it.
turned. It turned. But Italy, that was the end of Mussolini because once the Italians turned the other way, now you've got a major force that can push back
Well,
even
I
better.
was reading the cards yesterday with my group here, and I took a look see, and I really think before Biden leaves, we may have some sort of ending with Ukraine as far as some sort of negotiation comes up.
It's possible. Yeah, it's possible. Like I mean, in a way, I'm hoping that it's the next administration. Just in that, the more time you let this, if provided you fund them, the more trouble he gets into. Because
Well, also Putin is hoping that Trump would win, and when Trump definitely doesn't win, he's out to lunch.
yeah, I guess exactly. It's the only solution they have if they hope to, yeah, to defang Ukraine. It's
There
the
was
only
a
solution.
Russian psychic on a show. Somebody sent me the link, and I couldn't post it because she swears really bad. And she's just a little old lady with the scarf, the Russian. And she said, I'm going to tell you, back when all this started, I said that Putin was going to lose big time. Ukraine was going to wipe them up. And some guy was saying, well, Russia has all this equipment and everything. And she said that Ukrainians are going to take that equipment and tear it down and dance in the streets. So people were telling me that a lot of farmers will take these tanks and take them out to their fields and tear them down for scrap metal and stuff. So
Yeah,
it's happening
yeah,
right now, but she said this back when it first started. Russia's going to lose big time.
yeah. I mean, I can totally see it. In the end, a lot of this is a matter of economics, and Russia doesn't have the economic
No.
power to sustain a war. That's where getting into it with the U.S. is a really bad idea because the U.S. has a lot more resources, right?
That's what talking about nukes is really bad too. He's talking about nukes again, like he always does.
Yeah, well, he does, but I mean, nukes is like this is a silly talk. Nukes are silly talk because you can't nuke anybody. If you nuke anybody, you've got a problem,
You're
big
gone.
problem immediately. Now it's bad for everybody, of course, but you can't even nuke Pakistan. Don't do that. Pakistan has nuclear weapons; they'll shoot them at you.
Yeah.
That's like nukes are like you and I are in a room, and I'm threatening you with a grenade. and you go, well, what are you going to do? You're going to throw the grenade? Okay. Then both of us go down. How does this work?
Yeah.
You know?
What
Yeah.
are you doing?
No, it's crazy talk, but I think a
Well,
lot of that is,
except I'd manage to take you out if you threatened to take my sandwich. But yeah,
yeah, no, but it's that logic that, they were talking in the Russian media, oh, we should throw a nuke at Great Britain. Great Britain has nuclear weapons. You can't do that.
and they'll detect it before it comes in.
Even if they detect it after, even if they detect it after everything is blown up, they'll still have the thing to throw at you, and you're going
And
to be in
all
trouble.
the other nations would join them.
Yeah, it's just not a good idea. That
That.
yeah, it's just talk. I mean, it's not like you can also develop better nuclear weapons. What does better nuclear weapons mean? It's silly. Not to mention,
And they even showed the Ukraine was able to blow up a cruise ship from North Korea, or it was packed with North Korean missiles. Did you see that?
that I didn't see.
Shot it down. It was wonderful. They blew it up.
Yeah, no, what I mean, well, if they have I think Ukraine, if they have the weaponry, they're very motivated for obvious reasons. It affects their life in an immediate way. Yeah.
And one of Putin's planes, very expensive plane, crashed out of the air, not because it got hit by a missile, because their ability to build their planes is so bad that it didn't have the correct whatever it needed, and it just plummeted.
Yeah, well, I've never. I mean, look, it's a total fact that when you compare the regimes, I mean, Russia has been trying to be equal dog or equal top thing to the U.S. They just aren't. That's the truth. I mean, I remember even way back many, many years ago when I was first getting into trying to study the world and all that, and I remember reading this thing. There was this long article where when there was a war between the Israeli war in the late 60s or the early 70s, and they mentioned how the Israelis won it really quickly, and it was an air fight. And
Yeah.
and the story said the Israelis were using American jets, and the other side was using Russian jets. And I remember thinking, okay, so basically it's a question of the quality of the equipment, right?
Right.
So this is just the truth. I know that this kind of talk is, it's war talk. No one wants war. I get it. But if there is a war, in my opinion, you want to be on the right side of the war. You want to be on the side that has the better tools.
Yeah.
Obviously, right? And I can't think of this being great news for Putin that the U.S. and by the way, and Biden has ensured that the entire NATO is behind Ukraine as well, because it's
That they're on board.
Germany.
And it just gave permission to use their equipment in Russia.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, yeah, this is Putin's. To me, Putin is very similar to Trump. They're people they're at the end of the road. They're at the end of the road with their life now coalescing. Like call it karma, call it the accountability, whatever. They're both in that place. Physically,
He just signed
politically.
something in Russia that 14-year-olds can now be drafted into his army.
Oh yeah, that'll work. I'm sure all the mothers will be really happy with that one. Sending their 14-year-old into war.
They're probably all going to move to wherever the Ukraine is located, just so their sons don't have to fight for them.
It's very risky. I mean, back in the Second World War, back then the thinking was different, and Stalin had many, many millions of soldiers that he could throw into battle. It's a lot harder to do that now because the public is too informed. They know what is going on, and they're going to resist you, and that's why many people have left Russia when this war started, because they didn't want to go into the battle. Especially when it's a made-up battle. I mean, if someone invades your country, then you have to fight. But this is like a war of choice. He decided,
He made that decision. Yeah.
I want Ukraine for me, right? I want to take the resources and use them for myself. So
I
that's
keep
why.
waiting any minute now. They'll come up with some. He might try to throw a fast one and ask for the stuff he had already taken. They're going to say no. But he will have no choice because they got him by the throat.
Yeah, it's not a good scene. This, by the way, has been talked about by military analysts. I came across this thing where they were saying 2024 is the hard year for Ukraine. Once you get into 2025, the situation
That's
switches.
the truth too.
Yeah, and really it was because of the stalling in Congress until Mike Johnson gave up the money up to that
Lost
point.
a lot of lives. Yeah.
Yeah, it cost a lot of
So,
lives.
are, are you from Spain?
Originally, yeah.
Oh, did you see that horrible flooding going on there?
No, I didn't see any.
It's
Where's the flooding?
horrible flooding going on. Just put flooding Spain. You'll see all kinds of videos. I mean, it is Armageddon.
Ouch.
I can't believe the flooding that's taking place and fires in Turkey right now, horrible forest fires. Utah had a horrible flood. You could see the window breaking with the water coming in. Just look for floods. It's Armageddon. You know, I watch the Weather Channel all the time. So
Yeah, that's how you're gonna get the. Yeah, it says it's another one of the big arguments about whether or not to take climate change seriously. Because if you listen to Trump, you know, oh, the seas will rise 1/18 of an inch. You know, this is a lie. It's a total lie, right? But there have been more, you know, bigger storms, and I know for a fact. I mean, you probably have experienced this. The smoke. This never used to be a thing
no, we never went through this.
until recent
Oh, and
years.
then China's broken. 2 bridges have broken with their flooding.
Yeah, no. So it's a definite factor, but it's another reason why it's so important to make sure Trump and these guys don't get back into the White House, because then they would set back the agenda for, you know,
Well, you know, Putin
for
is
decades.
expecting money from Trump, so he's not going to get any money.
Yeah, yeah.
So listen, we did talk before we came online about Holly a little bit. His numbers, you thought maybe he'll still win.
Yeah, Holly. I mean, I think that the odds of him winning are pretty good. Maybe something happens in the next, you know, period of 60 days. If you see the average polls dropping to within a couple of points, but when you see him ahead by 10, it's much harder to imagine him losing the race. But what you do know, though, is that in his chart, he does have he's a Capricorn. So then the expectation there, as I would see it, is that he is part of a Senate that is not to his liking, right? Going into 25, 26, 27, which would mean which is pointing to the outcome, you know, of the Senate race. How do you continue to see that? Do you continue to feel that the Democrats win all three, the presidency, the House?
I saw psychically, I saw 4 Senate seats being taken, 4.
4.
So I don't know what it is.
What do you mean taken? Like, you mean going up?
Like we're going to add to the Senate because we take 4 seats.
4 seats. Well, then,
Because I'm really worried about Tester not winning. I send him money monthly, and they still ask me for money. But Tester's going to win. I can tell you that much.
well, Tester is the incumbent, and Tester will benefit a lot from Kamala's rise. You know, that was, by the way, that was what had Pelosi most scared. Is she showed Biden, look at the Senate and House races, we're getting killed.
Yeah.
You know? So we need to turn this around. And sure enough, now down ballot, the numbers are up.
The numbers are up. And here's the other thing. Well, Emerson College, August 12th through 14th, they have Democrats at 48%, and they have Republicans at 46.
In where? In the Senate?
And no, just the general election.
Yeah, no, the general election, it's tight still, but there have already been some polls with a 5-point gap.
Oh,
And-
I know.
And the main thing is, well, you know how you know. This is how you know whether or not things are going well. The more you see Trump doing rallies in North Carolina, because North Carolina, they won last time. That means he's defending territory, right? The more you know that the situation is rough. And if you ever see him go and do rallies in Florida, then there's real trouble, right? The worst would be if they started doing rallies in Texas. Then you would know, uh-oh.
But
Big,
you
big
know,
problem.
I don't think, like you said, that guy, the gentleman you mentioned you said he's never seen anything like this.
Lunch, yeah.
I
Yeah.
think when when we actually start voting, people are going to be pleasantly surprised. I think, but it's the ones who aren't represented in these polls. It's your millenniums, it's your new people. It's all because everybody and your neighbor is going for Harris. the Native Americans, the Mexicans, everybody's saying we're for Harris.
I can totally see that. I mean, the only thing is, though, that the reason I hold back a little bit and being too optimistic is that in the bigger picture, we are in the echoes of the Civil War, meaning that that period, the good side won, but it was super close and it caused a lot of problems around, moving forward in a good way. So I'm not going to say yet, that we're going to win big. I'm just going to say we're going to win, but hopefully we'll
win.
okay. Yeah, because this is the thing: the bigger the win, the more you shut down the argument, right? But the most dangerous thing is the closer it is, the more people like Trump will think they can fight it in the courts and make noise, to try to reverse the situation.
Well, the closer it is, the more he's going to fight it. But if it's by a landslide, he can't fight it.
Then you can't fight it. Yeah, exactly. So.
Well, we've been on for going on an hour.
I know time flies when I'm talking
Time
with you.
flies because we always have a good time.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll continue soon. Next time we meet, we can talk about what happened in the convention, and if we meet before the end of the month, then there's a key big planetary event happening. The Uranus station happens right at the end of the month and into early September. That's a key.
Okay.
Because the way those stations is that there were two when the debate and the assassination attempt happened. Stations raised the tone. The era station was Kamala, so stations tell you a lot, and this one is the next big one that is coming up, end of month, early September. All right, we'll say goodbye for now. Bye, everyone.